Hi, my name is Heather, and today I'm going to show you how to use Inkscape to convert your sketch into an SVG that you could bring into Cricut Design Space. This is the first video of a short little series that I'm going to have for creating an SVG in Inkscape. The second video is where we'll add the color, but today we're just going to do the outlines in black. So to start, let's grab our sketch, and I'm going to have the link in the description in case you want to download the sketch so you can follow along. But I'm in Inkscape right now in a blank document, and I'm just going to click this little import button, and then I'm going to find my drawing and click open. And I'll just put it in the middle here. And then there's two panels that I always like to have open when I'm in Inkscape or really any vector drawing program. And those are the layers and the appearance. So let's go up to layer, layers, and then that'll bring this little panel up here, and this shows all of our layers. And right now we have layer 1, and if you click the little eye, you can see that our cupcake is on layer 1, because if we hide layer 1, then the cupcake's gone. And the other panel that I always like to have open is the appearance. So let's go to Object, Fill and Stroke. And this is where we'll be able to set our fill and our stroke for anything that we draw. Let's go back to the layers, and we want to set this up to be a sketch layer. So first we can just click on it and let's name it sketch, just so we're organized. And then let's lock it so that we can't move it around. That way we don't accidentally grab it and move it. And then the last thing is we want to lower the opacity so that it's not as dark and we'll be able to see our vector drawing over it. Make sure the layer is selected so it'll be blue. And then you can go down to opacity and just turn it down. Now we can add another layer. So click the plus sign down here to add a new layer. And we can name this vector drawing or whatever you want to name it. And we'll click add. And this is where we'll do our drawing. Drawing in Inkscape on the computer is going to be a lot different than drawing like on the iPad where you have a pencil. When you're drawing in Inkscape on the computer, you just have your mouse, so you can't really just like use the pencil tool and physically draw because you're just not going to be able to draw that well. So what you're going to use is the Bezier tool, which is this little pen here. So let's click on that. And it may seem weird at first, but trust me, you're going to love this tool. It'll be your best friend. It just takes a little getting used to, and eventually it'll become second nature. The way that you're going to use this tool is you're going to be creating your curve. So you're going to click with it, and then don't pick up the button on the mouse and just drag it. That's going to be the direction of whatever curve you're making. See how the curve is going down and to the right. And then if I click again, and don't pick up the mouse button, just keep holding it down and then drag it, then we're making a curve. And wherever you pull these handles is the direction that the curve is going to go. And then when you like what it looks like, then you can let go. But we're still continuing the line. So you can keep going as much as you need to, just wherever you want it to curve next, you just click and hold it down and pull, drag. And then when you like how it looks, you let go. And whenever you want to end your line, so say right now we don't want to add anything else to it, we like the green part is just perfect, we just right click. And then that just ends it. After you create a line, if you want to do something with it, like we can delete this one right now because we're not really going to use it, then you do have to switch to your select tool, because you're going to have to select it, and then you can click on it. And then now we can just click the delete button and get rid of it. So let's go ahead and start drawing. If you need to zoom in or out on Inkscape, you can just press the plus or minus button on your keyboard. And then if you want to move the canvas around, hold down the space bar, and then you can just grab it and move it around. So let's go back to the Bezier tool, and we can start by doing the outline of the icing for the cupcake. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm just going to click on my left mouse button and just drag down in the direction of the curve that I want it to go, and then let go. And then now I can click somewhere later along the line, and I'm going to click and drag. And then when I like how it is, I can pick up my finger off of the mouse button. And then I'll go further down, so I could actually go like down here, and I'm going to click, and don't pick up your finger yet, and pull, drag, and then we can let go. And if we like it, we press the right mouse button. Another thing I wanted to tell you is that if you mess up, then it's really easy to fix. So say that I am doing a line, and then I add a point, and I'm like, oh, I actually don't like that, I want to change it. And I'm not even done drawing yet. I'll just click delete on my keyboard, and that'll just get rid of the last point that I made. And then say I want to get rid of that one too, then I press delete again. And then that one, delete. Now let's go ahead and add some styles to this. So if we click our select tool, and then we can select the line, we can go to fill and stroke. For the fill, we're going to make it no fill because it's not like a shape that we want it to fill in. But for our stroke, we already have it as a flat color, and it's black. We can look down here and see that our stroke is black, and we can also look here and we have our colors here. But let's change the width of the stroke. So we're going to go to stroke style, and let's just make it wider. So I'm just going to press this plus sign here. And then another thing I like to do is make it more of like a calligraphy stroke. So I like it to be like thick in some places and thin in others, so it kind of looks like it was drawn with a pen. To do that, we're going to go to Path, Path Effects. With this stroke selected, you want to press the plus sign, and then we're going to find Power Stroke. So just scroll down a little bit, and here's the Power Stroke. So I'm going to click that. And you can already see that it's skinny at the ends and then thick in the middle. And if we grab our node tool, then we can see these little pink dots here. Let me zoom in too, it'll be easier. If I click on the stroke here, then I have a pink dot here and here and here. And I can move those, so I can pull it and make it thicker, or I can make it thinner. And I can also move the pink dot around if I want it to get thicker or thinner in a different spot. And then anything between those two, like this pink one is making it this wide and this pink one is making it skinnier, and then it's just going to kind of taper into that. So you can just mess around with those and just get it how you like it. Another thing you can change is the ends here. I don't really like how they go to a little skinny 0 width point. You can go over here, start cap, and then you can make it like round, and then it's thicker now. And then we could do the same thing with the end cap. I like that a lot better. And then we can use this width factor to make the whole thing skinnier or wider. And then of course you can mess with these again. So just kind of mess around with those settings till you get it how you like it. Once you like it, we can move on to the next one. So we can click outside of it, so we deselect it. And then let's grab our Bezier tool, and we'll go ahead and do the next one. Click and drag. Click and drag. And then right click when you're done. And then we can do the same thing to this one. We'll go to fill and stroke and increase it. Path effects, and we can add power stroke again, and then we'll mess around with the options. And then remember, you want to switch to the node tool so you can see those little pink dots and make this wider or skinnier. And then once you like it, just click away to deselect it. And let's just use that same technique to go ahead and draw the rest of the icing for the cupcake. Also, a quicker way to do it would be to just draw all of your strokes first, and then you can set the appearance of all of them together. So we'll do that for the rest of these. Another thing I want to show you is that if you mess up a little bit like I did here, you can grab your node select tool, and then you can just move these nodes around, and you can move the handles, which when you first drew with the pen tool, these nodes are where you clicked and dragged, and then what you dragged was this handle here. So using the pen tool is really going to help, even just editing vector files and not drawing from scratch, because you'll have a really good understanding of the points and the nodes and how it all works together. If you want to delete a node, like this little node right here, I like to delete it, then I just make sure it's selected, and then I'm going to go up here to the delete node button. Now I have the icing all done, so I can just grab my select tool and I'll select all these lines. And then now I can just make them all bigger. So I'll go over to fill and stroke and make them bigger. And then I can go to my path effects. These I do have to do one at a time. So grab this guy, add the power stroke. Let's star this. And then we can go up here and just show the starred ones. And then it'll just always be here when we open this panel, and we can just click it. Now let's add our power stroke to this stroke here, and then I'm going to show you how to set defaults for the power stroke so that we don't have to set the same things over and over. I'm going to go over here to the path effects, and I'm going to click to add, select that, and let me change some of these options down here. And for my start cap, I want it to be round, end cap, round. And then these, I'm going to modify them individually for each stroke. And now if we go over to power stroke and we look down here, it has set default parameters. So we can open that, and then anything down here that we set up here, we can make it the default. So for example, the start cap that I want it to be rounded, I can click set, and then it'll be the default to have the start cap rounded. So end cap, I can do update. So if it's already set, then you can click update, and then it'll just update it. The width factor was another one we set, so let's do update. And now next time we do it, it's going to have all of those options already selected. Just make sure that you have your widths how you want them, and then we can move on to the next one. So we can do this one. I'll grab my select tool, grab it, and we're going to add our power stroke. And then now we can just go straight to moving around our little pink dots, because everything else is set how we want it to be. Now I'll just do the bottom one. This line right here is going past it a little bit, so I'll just use my node select tool to move that node back a bit. Now I'm going to show you how to make this a perfect circle, but then we're going to cut off part of the circle down here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to hold down my space bar so I can move this. Let's grab the circle, and I'll make a circle about as big as the cherry. And this has a fill, and we don't want it to have a fill, we want it to have a stroke. So let's grab our select tool, go over to fill and stroke, and then let's go to fill and click the X, and then stroke, and we want it to be solid. We can go to stroke style and change the width if we need to, and let's just put it where we want it to go. And then we just want it to end here and here. So the way that we're going to do that is we want to first make this into an actual stroke so that we can mess around with the anchor points and all that. So let's go up to path, object to path, and now it's actually a path with these anchor points and handles, and we could even like change it if we wanted, whatever you want to do with it. Now we can add anchor points so that we can remove the part that overlaps the icing. So I'm going to use my node select tool and I'll click on this segment here. So this is the part between these two anchor points. And I'm going to click the insert new node. And this puts this node right here. But we actually want it to be right where these overlap. So let's zoom in. So I'll click the plus sign on my keyboard. I'm just going to make sure I grab this node only so the other ones aren't highlighted. And then I'll move it up here. And then you'll probably need to mess around with the handles. So you can just kind of pull them in because they're probably going to be sticking out too far. Then we can add another node here. So let's click on this segment and add a new node. And then if you want to make it even easier, we can click with these three selected, because they're yellow, we can click the insert node again, and then it's going to insert a node here. Which I wouldn't normally do this because I don't like having this many nodes, but we're going to be deleting that portion anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So let's just move this guy up a little bit, and let's pull the handles back. Now basically what we want to do is just delete the segment between this point and this point. So we can just select and make sure we have those 2 points in the selection. And then these ones are all going to get deleted too. And then we can just click this, which says delete segment between 2 non-endpoint nodes. So we're going to click that, and then that segment goes away. If that was confusing, then don't worry about it. You can always just use the pen tool and just do it the way that we did the other ones, but I just figured I'd show you some of the other features that you can use in case you want to. Let's just add our nice styles to this one. So we'll go up here to Path Effects, Power Stroke, and I'll just edit these a little bit. And then we can do our stem. Also make sure that you are constantly saving whenever you do any significant changes. So let's save this. I'll call it Cupcake and make sure it's an SVG, which it should default to anyways. Now I'm going to show you how you can make a heart and then duplicate it to make the other hearts. Let's grab our Bezier tool, and if I want to make it really symmetrical, then I can just draw one side of it, and I'll do it like straight up instead of tilted like that one is. And then I will just grab this with my select tool and I'm going to duplicate it. So I'll go to edit, duplicate. This is the duplicated one, and we just want to mirror it. So we can use this to flip it horizontal, and there's our little heart. We can only do the path effects on one object at a time. So since these are two separate objects, we'll need to do them separately. Now, if we want to keep these together, we can group them. So let's go to Object, Group. And then now we don't have to worry about grabbing one and not the other. So I'm going to take this guy and I'll duplicate him. We can also use this little button here instead of going up to the Edit menu. And then let's make this smaller and rotate it so it kind of matches that one. So in order to make it smaller, we can use these handles here. And you can click this little lock to constrain the proportions so you don't stretch it weird. And then to rotate it, you just click the shape again, and you'll get these rotating handles. And then you can rotate it. And now we can just duplicate for the rest of them. And now that I zoom out, these are a little bit too skinny for my liking. With the node select tool, I can grab the path and then I can up the width factor to make it a bit wider. So maybe like 3.1 or maybe just 3 is good. So then I can do that with the rest of them. Now we can just finish it up by adding this bottom part here, which at this point should be pretty easy since we did all that other stuff. So we're just going to grab our Bezier tool, and then the one difference though is that these are straight lines and not curved for these ones. So to do a straight line, you're just going to not drag. So you're just going to click, not hold down your mouse button, and then just move your mouse to wherever the line is going to end and just click again. And then you could just right click because you want to end it, and there you have a nice straight line. And then we could do our next line, just click and click, and then right click. So just remember, click and drag is for curves, but just clicking, that's for lines. And now that we have those done, we can just do this curve going across here. Some of these don't go all the way down, so I can just grab my node select tool and I'll just click on the line, and then I can grab the node and pull the node down. Now we can style these lines however we want to. All right, and now if we zoom out, here is our finished cupcake, but we do still have a few things we need to do just to get it ready for the Cricut. Let's make sure we save it, and then we can go to our layers and let's delete our sketch layer. So I'll just right click on the layer and delete current layer. And now what we need to do is, instead of having these as strokes, we need them to be shapes. So what I like to do is keep this version in case at some point I want to make any changes to it, modify some of the lines, then it's way easier to modify them as lines. So make sure that's saved, and then I'm going to save a new version which will be all shapes. So let's go to File, Save As, and we can name it like Cupcake Cricut maybe, or whatever you want to make it called. And now for this version, we want to make everything into fills. So let's grab our select tool and we're going to select everything, and then we're going to go to path, stroke to path. Let's zoom in, and if we use our node select tool and click on an individual path, you can see all these little anchor points. So that means that it actually traced around the line to make it into a filled shape. And the next thing we need to do is that we want this to all be one shape, because if you've used the Cricut before, you know that the Cricut would like cut this part out, and then it would cut this part out, and then that would cut a little shape out there and it would make a hole. So we want to grab our select tool, and I'm going to zoom out so I can select everything. And then we want all of this to combine. So we're going to go to Path, Union, and that's going to combine everything into one shape. And if it doesn't work, so you can tell that these are all still separate shapes because they have boxes around each thing, then you might need to just figure out why it's not working. So reasons why it might not work is if you have a stroke in there still that's not a fill. If you have any grouped objects, it could be that. So we can select it all, and we do have our little hearts were grouped. So let's do Object, Ungroup. And now you can see those are separate little pieces. And so now let's go to Path, Union, and that worked. So if it's not working, make sure you don't have any strokes, and also you want to not have anything grouped together. Now if we go to our node select tool, we can see it's all these little nodes. And then the other thing is, if you click away from it and then you select it, then you're going to select the whole thing instead of just this piece. It all moves together. So now we can go ahead and save that one. And let's go into Cricut Design Space. I'll create a new project and let's upload. And I'll go to Upload. There's my little cut image, and add to canvas. Here it is. There's our final cupcake outline. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and stay tuned for the next video where we'll add color to our design. And also coming up, we're going to have videos on using Vector Q for the computer rather than the iPad. So keep your eyes out for those videos. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to learn, any questions you have. Have fun creating. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.